Right, here we go, an update on where we are. Changing from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. At the moment, if I start from this side and work across, I'll go through everything in one go. So the connection box mounted in the same place, although it's close now to what used to be the pedal box on the left-hand side. So it's got all the pedals and the boxes standard up to about here. The only other difference is I've put a nick in it there. I don't know if you can see that, so that the steering rack, the steering column goes through the old pedal box. The other alteration obviously is that I've butchered it here, which I'm a mechanic, I'm not a body shop man. I'm not a I'm going to tidy this up, but obviously it looks the right bodge, but that's what it is. And moved the steering across to the left to where it needs to go, mounted its fixing points up here through the bulkhead, and then also here through the bulkhead, mounted it so it's strong enough, and then welded brackets on to keep its strength in it, and it now obviously works in that area. Made the hole in the floor for the steering to go through. Probably the two main things here are, this is very close here to this, I don't know what it's for, it's a flap with pipes on which they use quite a lot of pipes for working stuff. And I've also removed the heater box, so this is where the heater box used to be. We're going to run the heater box from the other side. We're going to come into the side of the heater box on this side, but we're going to have to move this here, which is in the way. I'm going to have to work out how to move that and get that still to work. This flap I think is for the hot and the cold, so it definitely needs that in. It's got air conditioning on here as well, so I'm trying to keep the air conditioning, not go into it to change anything. The steering column's bolted more or less straight in. There's not been any sort of disturbance with the steering itself. Same with the pedal box. I've remounted the accelerator pedal over here, up here, but I'll show you what I've done inside the bulkhead as well in a minute. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It looks a mess at the moment because obviously it's all stripped down and the wiring. I will say that the wiring, because this is American market, they originally built left-hand drive, right-hand drive, and converted to left. So it's a matter of straightening, cutting out this wiring that goes across and bringing it back over here and plugging it back in. So it's a case of cutting the wires and soldering them back together so that they have a good contact. The dashboard, I've got to sort out which dashboard I'm going to use. So this is the original, what I bought cheap, left-hand drive, right-hand drive. I was thinking of putting this together, gluing it back together and having it flocked. Or I've had that one copied, so this is a fiberglass copy. I could use the fiberglass one and have that painted same colour as car and go from there. This is the original heater box, so this would sit like this on the car. It has a flap on it. This flap, what it does, it takes either internal or external air to go through the heater, so it'll recirculate air internally or externally. Quite a big unit. You won't be able to move that across and convert it from left to right, I don't think, not easily anyway. So what we've decided to do is put a smaller heater in over here, heater box. So this is one I bought off eBay. It's for kit cars, and this is going to mount externally, so I'll go in here and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten that in there. Then it's going to have that internally with a hose on going to the heater box, going into this side of the heater box which I showed you earlier. So it's going to come in under there and then go into that side of the heater box, and I'm going to move that valve, whatever it does, and place it somewhere else. Over here it's pretty straightforward because you're removing stuff, it's not too bad. That's the ECU for the fuel injection and everything. But that's how it's looking at the moment inside. So the steering comes out the bulkhead there, using the original steering arm. Then we get down to where you can see there where the universal joint comes off the steering rack. What I've had to do there is the rod's the same size as what came on the MX5, which the steering rack's off. So I've crimped it onto the rod, but there's no splines on there. So then I've welded the clamp to the steering. So, but the UJ at the other end of that will come off, and the UJ at that end obviously will come off. So it's no big detriment having it welded on. I can still take that off and remove it whenever I want to. But that's why that's welded on, bodged on, because my welding is rubbish. Whilst I'm here, the steering rack obviously is off an MX5 and it's power steered. So at the moment I'm using the this, which is the and this here, which is the original piping off the steering rack. Now probably at a later stage, when I want to sort of, when I've tested it all and it all works okay, I'll be having pipes made up that fit better. The brake master cylinder, I bought this plate off somebody in York that come already with holes in and everything. That's holding the clutch and the brake. That's the air conditioning pipe. But we're going to have to extend the vacuum hose from the brake pipe, from the brake servo across. I've got some, there we go, I've got some pipe here that's clear fuel pipe. It's solid plastic so it won't suck in, but if you extend these pipes here they need to be okay with fumes, because obviously it's sat in fumes all the time. Not so much with the fuel injection, but if you've got a carburetor it'll perish pretty quick and you'll lose your braking assistance. Coming along, this is the pump off the Mazda MX5. It's a variable, so I can wire this up and make it either work harder or less effective depending on what the situation is. I might put either a switch on it or make it only work in first and reverse more than what it does do on a normal pump. But the pulley, what you get on the Mazda MX5 is this setup, multi-V, so I've cut that off and I've got a water pump pulley on it and use that. It's quite big because it don't need to pump, so rotate fast. And then I've obviously using the alternator and all the other things in the same place. You can see there, I don't know if you can see, but it's what I've got now is a 13 by 1175 LA belt. It's quite a thick belt because it's running a water pump, a power steering pump and an alternator. I've decided to go for quite a thick one. And then obviously at the other side you've got an individual one for the air conditioning. The reservoir is a remote reservoir, so that's this here, which is mounted where the you usually find here on the fuel injections, it's the carbon canister for the breather on the tank, which is now going to get mounted over there, the other side of the engine, because obviously I'm not going to have throttle bodies over there or anything like that. I've got this here without the air mass flow meter and everything. That's the speedo cable which is going to get moved across, and obviously it's not going to interrupt anything having the carbon canister over there, because there's no HT leads on mine or anything like that that's going to get in the way. Let's go underneath. So the tractor in that came off was 1175 millimeters width. So the MX5 is a longer, wider steering rack. So what I've done to get around that is, I don't know if you can see, sorry about that light, I've cut a thread all the way along this, all the way up, so I can cut it to whatever length I want. So I've got to find the central part of the steering and then cut it down to 1175 millimeters. The actual measurement for the thread is, let's have a look, where is it? There you go, 1/2 inch NF20. So when you're doing the track rod end, you cut the thread all the way along, and then obviously you buy a track rod end and it'll just screw straight on. Early MX5, when they first came out, uses the same bore on the track rod end as what will fit in your arm. The other thing is, when you're changing the rack over, you just squash a few of the pipes against it a bit more, but it goes straight in, more or less. The modifications I've had to do is I've had to pull these pipes here in a little bit on the top to stop them hitting the sump, and I've used a little bit longer bolts on the clamps, but other than that, it's you have to lift the engine up, not out completely, but you won't be able to get it past these, so you have to lift the engine up, engine hoist it up a little bit. You don't have to disconnect anything, just lift it up, and you have to remove the anti-roll bar completely. Then that gives you all the clearance that you need to get the steering rack out. But as soon as I know where I'm going to be with this, then I can cut it to length after it's been centralised and everything. That's the pickup for the electronic ignition and fuel injection. Hall effect, no, inductive pulse. But other than that, the steering rack change was not very easy, but not hard, let's put it that way. So, but that's the way that's coming along at the moment. I think that's it, although I'm sure I'll remember something as soon as. The brake pipes, they're extended to go over to there, and the battery's got to be mounted over there, as well as, what else is over there at that time? I can't remember what else is over there, but I'll fill you in as I go along. The breather for the tank to the carbon canister is going to come out of here now, and I'm going to move it with a brake pipe across to where the canister is over there. And I've just got to, because of the size of the throttle body that's going on it, I've got to cut that much out as well, so I'll be doing a bit of grinding on that intake, because it's what's going on is a lot bigger than what's coming off. And I think that's about it. I think you're up to speed now. Oh, the next thing I'm going to be doing is wipers, changing the wiper linkages so that they go from the other side, so it sweeps the different sides as well, which is something we're going to do. But hope that fills you up to speed. I'm cut my finger with the grinder, so I'm not doing anything at the moment. That's why I'm making this video, because I've got plenty of free time. But sliced through end of my finger, luckily wearing gloves, but it's got infected, so I'm off work and not doing much at the moment. As it changes, I'll let you know, but hopefully it's kept you up to speed. If you've got any questions, by all means message me and I'll try and get back to you. But yeah, MX5 steering rack, well recommended. It's quite an easy fit, and hopefully it's going to make quite a difference to the driving experience.